Sharks season preview for 2020. It's a bit late. The first squad has already been named for the game tomorrow against the Bulls, but just in time is maybe how you could look at it for the Sharks. They left their squad naming quite late. Most of the South African teams did, so hence the lateness of the video. I'll go through the squad. They've lost quite a few big names. They've lost the coach, but I think it was definitely time for a shift. Kind of like the Stormers. Under Robbie Fleck, you feel like under Robert du Preez Sr., the Sharks weren't quite there. They weren't hitting the potential based on the number of really good players they had in the squad. I mean, just looking at the guys who left, the Beast, Tendai Tawera last year, proved he's still really got what it takes to the World Cup. He's gone off to play in America. Connor Oosthuizen, he's gone to Sale. The three du Preez brothers have all gone to Sale. Aka van der Merwe has gone to Sale. Ron Botha's left. Philip van der Walt has left. They lost quite a few guys. Cobus van Beek's gone. So, they had enough in that squad, you feel like, to do better than they did. But that's not to say that their squad last year was that much better than this year, I guess. Because, I mean, you look at some of the signings and they look alright. And especially when I looked at the backs, I think there's a fair bit to like about the squad there as well. So I'll go over the squad, I'll talk about the fixtures, and you guys can educate me in some of the areas that I'm not that familiar with. But it should be interesting. So props, Thomas Tutoi, Michael Kumbirai, Mzamo Majola, Kuthuka Mchunu, John Hubert Meyer, Oxenche, and Juan Schoolman. So Ox is the big signing. I think he's an excellent signing. I better get that. Hold on a sec. Mental note, always unplug the phone before you start a video. Where was I at? Ox is a great signing. Thomas Dutoy still played 15 games last year. Schoolman played 12. So, I think they'll be pretty decent up front. If you look at the hookers, they did lose Aka, but I think Van Vuren played many more games than him last year anyway. Maybe the second choice because you got Burden, Mbatha, and Richardson, 1 game, 4 games, and 1 game. They're probably lacking that recognised backup, but I guess we'll see how they go. Locks, they've brought in Emil van Heerden from the 21s, Jordan Cessnick-Klee, and Leroux Roots. They've kept the hold of Hyron Andrews, who was kind of a stalwart for them last year. They've also got Ruben van Heerden, who played 13 times last year, Van der Mescht, who played twice, Tyler Paul played 9 times. So, I mean, I do miss Ron Botha. The guy did give away some stupid penalties in his time, but he was some proper tall timber. So I think he still will be missed, but it's not like a catastrophic failure to see him go. Loose forwards, Buthelezi, Gomede, Mtembu, Noche, Insila, Roos, and Fenta. 2 Fentas, it's Henko and James. That's a whole lot of change. I mean, without the du Preez brothers, without Jacques Vermeulen, without Philip van der Walt, so that's a massive hole to fill. I think that'll be the big test for them. They brought in Notcher from the Stormers. He's I think, excellent signing. I don't think he's quite reached his potential from what we've seen of him. The other guys, 1 from the Cheetahs, 1 from the Lions, 2 from the Sharks Currie Cup team, and 1 from the Sharks under 21. So I am very much at a loss as to how the back row will go, but I will take any advice from you guys. Number 9s, they've got 4, Nohamba, Schrader, Williams, and Wright. It was mostly Schrader and and Wright last year, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same this year. 10 is an interesting one with Robert du Preez leaving. You still got Kerwin Bosch, and I see he's been named at 10 for the Friday game. Big boot on him. I do like the fact that when he kicks the ball off, he boots it a mile to make it like a mile skyward, to make it very contestable for his guys chasing. Also Jordan Chait and Botta Chamberlain, both those guys have come in from outside the Super Rugby team. I think 1 from the Sharks Currie Cup side. So how they go, I'm also at a loss. I would say that's not a whole lot of depth at 10, but do let me know if either of those guys is any good. Midfield is where it's kind of a bit more stable because you've got Lucanio Arm and Andre Esterhuizen. Andre Esterhuizen is leaving at the end of this season, but that partnership of Esterhuizen and Arm continues for another year, and then the other guys can kind of fill in as reserves, I would imagine, because they're a really excellent pairing. And outside backs, you got Mapimpi, Mvovo, Nkosi, Peterson, that's JP Peterson, Tumbwe, Abrahams, and Fussy. I think that is the area, and it's not usually the area that wins you games. Like, it's your forwards that generally will do the business, but like Mapimpi, Nkosi, and well, those guys were the ones who were at the World Cup. Mapimpi especially was fantastic. Mvovo and Peterson, you got to say, probably a bit past it. Maybe. That's a bit of experience. I think Mvovo got 4 games last year. Tumbwe looks exciting. He played with the Lions for the last couple of years, I want to say. And he was pretty good. His stats are pretty good from memory. I don't remember about his defensive stats, but certainly ball in hand. And Fussy is fantastic. Fantastic. So I'm very excited to see the back 3 from the Sharks unleashed, but the forwards will certainly need to do the job. The coach is Sean Everett. I do not know a lot about him. I believe he's been with the Sharks organization, the greater Sharks organization, for quite some time. But yeah, I'm not kind of sure what impact he will have on the side. As I said, when Robert Dupree Sr. was in charge, I kind of wasn't all that impressed. Like, it was all this talk about how they were going to play like traditional game, and they were going to be kind of a very, tight team, big boot, set piece, not go through too many phases kind of team, but never really eventuated. Like, even if you want to play that way, that's fine, but you got to win. They weren't getting it done. So, yeah, it's a whole lot of changes for the Sharks. I hope, just looking at the squad, I hope they can at least get kind of close to their potential. That being said, the bookies are saying these guys are the 11th favourite for Super Rugby. 11th. So they're not giving them much chance at all. I would imagine that's probably largely down to all the Dupree guys leaving. New coach. But, yeah, I still think there's a fair bit to like about the squad. But no team wins it just by having outstanding outside backs. So we will see. In terms of their fixtures, I don't think they have a very good run. I think it's pretty tough for the Sharks. Sure enough, they're at home to the Bulls. That's this Friday. But immediately there, they go to play the Highlanders, Hurricanes, Rebels and Reds. So their trip to Australia and New Zealand comes thick and fast after the kickoff. And then they are back to Durban to play the Jaguares, Stormers, and Chiefs at home. So they do not have the bye until round, I think, 9. And they've got a trip around the world in the middle of that. So half the games are at home, half of them are away. But I think that's a tough run. I would have preferred them to just start in New Zealand. If you're going to make them travel, the Hurricanes are doing it. They're starting in South Africa. So that home game against the Bulls with an immediate trip away, bookended by the game against the Jaguares, that's tough. So I don't think that's very good. Halfway through the season, they get a bye. And then it's kind of a matter of home away for the rest of the season. 2 games at home in a row and then 2 games away towards the end. The final game for them is a bye. That's all well and good, assuming you have already got the points you need and you're qualified and you get a rest before your quarterfinal. Imagine if they finish like 8th, it gives them a bit of time to rest. And even if they know where they're going early, they could travel. But otherwise, that last bye is pretty much useless. So here's hoping they qualify for the knockout stages and can make the most out of that bye. But I really don't think the fixtures list is very kind to them. If they drop the first game to the Bulls, don't win any away games, then they are in deep, deep trouble. But like I said, fingers crossed, they do manage to get the most out of the squad, get through to the knockout stages, and we'll see what some of these guys can do. Like I said, there's a few kind of senior guys maybe in their final seasons. JP Peterson and Lavazi Mvovo. Like, you could be watching rugby from how many years ago? Like 10? And you'd still see those names in that team. So, yeah. It's a bit of an interesting one. You guys let me know your thoughts on the Sharks. Any of these guys who have come through from the Curry Cup or from other teams that I kind of have glossed over because I don't know that much about them. Do let us know in the comments. I always read those, and I do love getting some insights from you guys who are more in the know about these guys. But yeah, we'll see how they go. Super Rugby tomorrow. How crazy is that? I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.